Good Friday morning, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Marlon Bowling, your tour guide to the ag commodities. Well, we're getting close to the weekend. We, as Suzanne announced earlier this morning, we did come to the end of the Pro Farmer Crop Tour. Now they're tabulating all the results that have come in from all the different districts all across the Midwest and Central Plains areas there. But anyway, we'll find out after the markets close today what the grand totals will be. Sounds like they may have been a little disappointed with what they found in parts of Iowa and maybe in Minnesota yesterday. So we'll put it all together, stir it up with a big stick, and find out before the weekend. Now, we just got word from USDA just moments ago that we have a new overnight export sale to report. And this time around, who is the winner? It's soybeans. We sold 121,000 tons of soybeans to China specifically. Not that unknown destination stuff. It's just directly to China. And it's for the 2023 and 24 current marketing years. So that means I'll take it anytime. So that's kind of interesting. I want to bring in Brian Hoops, president of Midwest Market Solutions, and discuss this a little bit. Do you think that'll make any difference to the market today, Brian?
Good morning, Marlon. Yeah, I think it will be positive for the market this morning. You know, you combine these export sales with our previous sales amounts, the fact that we have had really hot, really dry weather over the last 2 weeks. Forecasts really don't give us much in the way of moisture that's badly needed in a lot of areas. And we're probably going to see crop condition ratings decline on Monday in both corn and soybeans. A lot of producers saying we've really taken the top end of these soybean yields off. What they thought they put on with good rains in early part of August hasn't been enough, not enough moisture to withstand this extreme heat. And there's probably another round of that heat coming in the longer term forecast without a real shot of moisture to help us get through it. So I think this is a positive. And, we've talked about in the past when China has purchased some soybeans that they always could be canceled if prices got a lot cheaper. It really doesn't appear that that's going to be the case with this hot and dry weather taking that top end of the soybean yield off here.
What a weird year, huh? We had such a horrifically hot and dry June, followed by a cool, wet July, and then back to the hot, dry conditions in August again. It's almost like a bookend growing season here. Are there any analogous years to this in the past or not?
Yeah, the weather cycles seem to go in about 6 weeks. It seems like we get a period of hot and dry for about 6 weeks, and it kind of changes to a cooler, wetter pattern. And I think we're back into that hot and dry pattern here now, where we're not finishing the crop off very good. You could look at last year even where we did not finish the crop off all that well. Kind of took some of the top end of the yields off. And so there's a lot of people pointing towards those type of yields once again, maybe 173 as far as corn yield goes, or close to 50 for soybeans, maybe even below 50. And if that's the case for soybeans, if you can get below 50, it really tightens the balance sheets up. The USDA's last report, they lowered yields from the prior month, and they tightened the balance sheets to 245 million bushels of soybean stocks. And you start taking yield away, and you have decent demand that's starting to show up from China once again. You have the makings of prices that want to move higher and probably will continue to move higher in an effort to not only ration demand, but also try and encourage South American soybean production to expand this year.
But that's a hard hill to climb when you're going into harvest, right?
Yeah, it's hard hill for us to climb. South America will be planting soybeans relatively soon, so that's why they're going to try and encourage those acres to expand. But for the U.S. here, when we're seeing stronger exports as far as soybean meal goes, because of the drought that happened in Argentina, it's going to tighten our balance sheets. And I think you could be talking, in a month or so, sub 200 million bushels of ending stocks there, without major adjustments to the balance sheets, just on tightening of production numbers for the soybeans.
Let's visit how we closed overnight, shall we? We'll take a look at our quotes from bar chart here. As we headed into Friday morning on the corn, we were just a little bit higher. December only up one tick at 488.5. March and May were actually unchanged. Had a little firmness, though, in the soybean trade. You had November 9 higher at 1380 3/4. Gee, it's like someone knew that we had some sales coming. Anyway, it was in the market already. November up 9 this morning. On the wheat, here you had Chicago December going 3 1/4 higher last night at 6.35. Kansas City hard red wheat had December up 7 1/4 at 7.69 3/4. And Minneapolis wheat, the December was up 6 3/4 at 8.06 per bushel. We'll come back and talk more with Brian. We'll focus on livestock right after this. All right, we're back talking with Brian Hoops of Midwest Market Solutions. Brian, I noticed in the overnight update, when it comes to cash cattle trade in the plains, we had some dress basis sales. Seemed like they were in a fairly wide range, 290 to 295. It sounds like the majority of it was more hovering around 292 maybe, which would make it a little weaker than last week. But I can't find anything on cash basis sales yesterday. Did you?
No, nothing negotiated in the cash markets in the Southern Plains where it's been, extremely hot this week. We'll probably see some trades start to develop today. Of course, the futures market rallied yesterday, anticipating that we're going to see higher prices, at least to end this week in the cash markets. As you mentioned, the dress trade, it's kind of all over the map. There were some that were probably negotiated a little bit higher. A lot of it was steady to softer. But I think the real test will be what happens in the Southern Plains later today, as I think we'll start to finally break some cattle loose.
Well, it's going to be hot. I mean, that's for sure. Another day of unbearable heat there. I want to take a look at how we closed up yesterday on our futures here and get your reaction on the live cattle trade. Let's go there first. We had the big move upward in the October. It was up $2.05 on the close yesterday. It wasn't very far off of the high of the day. So what caused that, and how impressive is that for today?
Yeah, you can't really look at a lot of technicals in the cattle market. Look at more of the fundamentals. In the box, beef continues to move higher. Or slaughter pace is picking back up. It looks like for next week anyway, packers do need to buy some cattle before we get into the Labor Day holiday. When we have, then we'll slow the kills once again. But October's trying to reach up to where the August is. And as August goes off the board next week, October's taken over that lead position, trying to line itself with where the cash is. And I think it, just was caught too cheap at the 178 area. Needed to get to at least 180, maybe 181 today to reflect where the cash markets are going to be trading at this week. And if we can see any type of strength, in the 182, 183 range in cash, those futures are still too cheap and will need to rally again.
September feeders were $2.17 higher yesterday. If we can bring that quote board back up here, 250.75 is where we wrapped up, and that was fairly impressive yesterday. And then if you look at the lean hog market, I believe we not have an outside up day or a Herc reversal higher yesterday on the December lean hogs?
Right. That's a market you can trade technically. You have an outside reversal day like that, you should have some follow through. You should have some buying in that hog market. So you should see some strength right away out of the gate on the opening this morning in hogs. And you should in cattle this morning, I think, as well.
And that was interesting in spite of the fact that it looked like the cash hog market was weaker yesterday. So we'll see who wins today. Brian, thank you for all the information. Good stuff. Have a great weekend.
Have a good weekend.
You bet. Brian Hoops of Midwest Market Solutions in Springfield, Missouri. So, Suzanne?